Before we get started today, it is my honor to introduce Staff Sergeant Dustin Reel, United States Marine Corps, been home from Afghanistan a month. Staff Sergeant Reel.
Morning, thanks. I was recently deployed to Afghanistan. I would like to send out a sincere thank you to the community of Burbank, City of Burbank Veterans Committee, for all the care packages that my team and I received while deployed. Thank you for all the packages, snacks, hygiene items, letters from the school kids, and personal letters from members of the board. Greg, Uncle Gary, thank you very much. I appreciate it. The origin of Memorial Day goes back to the Civil War, when the graves of fallen soldiers were decorated by families and patriots, thus originally being called Decoration Day. It's a day to remember those who have sacrificed everything they had for their country. There's no higher honor than to have laid down your life protecting your family, the families of strangers, and the idea of individual freedom. Today, brave men and women fight on foreign soil to protect our own soil from being tarnished from a hateful ideology. Oppressive and hateful ideologies have always been the enemy of freedom, and brave Americans have always answered the call to end those that would advance those hateful ideas onto our fellow human beings and countrymen. Many of those who have answered the call have paid the ultimate sacrifice, and they did not do so without forethought. They have kept the ideologies on check on foreign soil, lest blood should be drawn on our own. I've had the honor of working with and knowing some of the bravest men the world has ever known. Men who could have stayed home and enjoyed the sweet comforts of our society that those before them ensured would endure with their lives. But no, they saw responsibility instead, the responsibility to ensure another generation carried on the legacy of those before them. Today we honor those that fell in battle defending our country and its values. On this day, I honor a man I knew who made such a sacrifice, a man named Staff Sergeant Jonathan Davis. At over 6 feet tall and 200 pounds, you knew when this Marine entered the room, and for me, when he did, it meant something good. After several months on a small patrol base in Afghanistan, your world shrinks significantly. Everything outside the 10 kilometers around you disappears. All you know is that you and the enemy are plotting against each other, and you hope tomorrow means a bad day for him and a good day for you. The constant threat of IEDs, mortars, and gunfire can have the very sobering effect of making you understand your mortality in a much clearer fashion. When I would hear the voice of Staff Sergeant Davis over the radio asking to enter friendly lines on a regular basis, I knew that some news from the outside world was coming. The one I kept forgetting about. You see, Staff Sergeant Davis ran the majority of the vehicle convoys up and down the primary route through our operation area, and that meant he always brought the mail. The arrival of him at Marines were going to get care packages from loved ones back home was like Christmas morning every time. Marines impatiently tearing open boxes, reading letters, and eating snacks and food sent from family and friends. The very boxes that you sent were in the hands of this man and made their way to Marines all over Helmand Province, Afghanistan. Joy, love, and support were the intangible items that every package contained. I read every letter from the children at the schools, strangers that just wanted to say thank you, and from members of the Veterans Board. Every single word was worth 1,000 thank yous and let us know that great patriots back home still had our backs. In February of this year, Staff Sergeant Davis was killed when struck by an IED while conducting operations that ensured the safety of his fellow Marines and the success of our mission. He left behind a mother, a wife, and a 4-year-old son. I will remember him forever. I will remember his voice, smile, and step as he brought us those care packages. I will miss the conversations about our kids and plans once we got back home. I will miss him on the road, knowing he was out there looking out for us, doing the job that Marines do. Today, I honor him. Many of you may have someone like this you are honoring today, a friend, a loved one, a family member. Some of you are just here to support and honor as patriots do for their countrymen that gave so much and asked for so little in return. If this is you, honor Staff Sergeant Davis with me today. This is not a day of mourning, it is a day of honoring. As the great General George Patton once said, "It is foolish to mourn the men that died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived."
Thank you, Staff Sergeant Rial. Our country's in pretty good hands, don't you think? God bless you, sir. Thanks for your service, and welcome home. Good morning. Well, we've been blessed with another beautiful day. I think the good Lord smiles down on us every Veterans Day and Memorial Day. Make sure that we have that great Southern California weather, and we always do. Thank everybody for coming today. My name is Mickey DePalo, and it is my honor to welcome you all to the City of Burbank's Memorial Day Ceremony 2013. Memorial Day ceremonies are being held throughout our nation in such places as Ironton, Ohio, where today they're having their Memorial Day Parade. It's the 145th anniversary of their Memorial Day Parade. Today we have a wonderful ceremony planned, highlighted by the Ceremony of the Rose, where we read the names of the service members whose names appear on our World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam War plaques at this memorial site, and names of 2 service members who bravely gave their lives during the global war on terror. And today, for the first time, we'll be reading 4 individuals' names who lost their lives in World War I. Today, we remember the brave men and women who so unselfishly went off to war at such a very young age to protect our way of life and gave their lives in doing so. All the brave men and women who died in the service of our country had hopes and dreams that I am sure they talked about while they were overseas. Hopes and dreams that they put on hold to serve our country, protect fellow Americans they never met, like you and me. As we are having Memorial Day ceremonies all over the country, war rages on in Afghanistan. Let us keep the brave men and women now serving our country in our thoughts and prayers, not only today, but always, and pray for their safe return home. Also remember the mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, husbands and wives, sons and daughters of all soldiers, Marines, sailors, Coast Guardsmen, and airmen who have lost their lives, and hope that the wonderful memories of their fallen heroes and the support that they receive from all of us will somehow help and sustain them. To all who have lost a loved one in time of war, please know that everyone here today will never, ever forget. Let us also extend our love and appreciation to all veterans who have served, who have protected our freedoms, and have come home to raise families and become vital members of their communities. Please remember all the veterans who are homeless, all the veterans who are still dealing with their wartime experience, including the approximately 400,000 troops who are dealing with traumatic brain injury, and the hundreds of thousands dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, and all veterans who are hospitalized and can't be with us today. Because of men and women who have sacrificed their lives in the service of our country, and all men and women who have served our country, the United States of America is truly the home of the free and the land of the brave. We still have a wonderful, great country. Also, I want to sincerely thank the people of Burbank who have attended our ceremonies throughout the years. Your kindness and sincere concern for the welfare of veterans and their families is very much appreciated. And before I go any further, I'd like to have all the veterans who are in attendance today to please stand and be recognized. Thank you all and welcome home. And for any veterans that are here for the first time, welcome. And we hope you plan on coming to our Veterans Day and Memorial Day ceremonies in the future. You know what, today I was, the past week or so, I've been thinking, if it was not for the efforts of 2 special people, the Korean War and the Vietnam memorials, would not be in place at this site. And possibly, we might not be gathered here today. I am speaking of the late Frank and Roberta Bullock, two wonderful people who served on our Veterans Committee. Frank was a proud World War II veteran who was a Navy pilot. He served his country proudly, came home, became a very successful businessman, and along with his dear wife, Roberta, raised two wonderful children, Brian and Beverly. Dignified, kind, integrity above reproach, patriotic, proud World War II veteran, deeply religious, great husband, father, and grandfather, tremendous role model and mentor. He is what the greatest generation is all about. And I'm talking about Frank Bullock and also his wife, Roberta Bullock. Frank always exuded dignity in class. He was a quiet leader. He led by example. He always came to our meetings with a jacket and tie. And Roberta would attend our meetings dressed beautifully. And they always forgave me for coming in t-shirts and shorts. I mentioned Brian earlier. I was very fortunate to know Brian Bullock. When I first moved to Burbank, he was in my 5th grade class at Jefferson Elementary School back in 1956. And we were friends all the way through Burbank High School. We graduated in 1964. Brian was mature beyond his years. You could tell that Brian was going to be a success in anything he attempted. He had a tremendous future. Brian also served in the United States Navy as a pilot during the Vietnam War, just like his dad did in World War II. Tragically, while doing maneuvers off the coast of Pensacola, Florida, Brian's plane went into the ocean, and Brian's body was never recovered. Bullock family had nowhere to go and be with Brian and reflect on this tragic loss and to be with him in spirit. For over 18 years, the Bullock family had no place to go and to be with Brian. Frank, Roberta, and Beverly, they carried on as best they could. Frank always told me that during this time, him and Roberta, they counted on the Lord for sustenance and help. And he said that really helped them deal with the loss of Brian. But still, a piece of their hearts were torn out. They wanted a place to go so they could be with Brian. So, over 25 years ago, Frank and Roberta approached the city of Burbank to discuss the possibility of establishing memorials for service members who lost their lives during the Korean War and Vietnam Wars, whose home of record was Burbank at the time of their death. You see, Frank and Roberta noticed that not only was there no Vietnam memorial at this site, there was also no Korean War memorial. They wanted both, a place for all to gather and be with their loved one or friend. In May 1988, then Park and Recreation Director, Mr. Rich Inga, gave me the honor of working with Mr. Bob Blundigan, who was on the Park and Rec Board and also a World War II veteran, Frank and Roberta Bullock, and a gentleman present today, Councilmember Gary Bric, to obtain the names of the Korean War and Vietnam War service members who lost their lives and to have memorials in place and dedicated at this site on November 11th, 1988. And as you can see, it's exactly what Frank and Roberta Bullock did. These memorials are here today because of them. Frank did the design of these memorials, and our committee has decided when we're going to be redoing the plaques, we're going to keep the same design of the memorials here out of respect to Roberta and Frank Bullock. Without Frank and Roberta, like I said, I would really believe that these memorials would not be here today, and we'd not have been able to gather here for the past almost 25 years. I can still see Frank and Roberta at our ceremonies, showing deep love and respect for each other, honoring Brian's memory, and all service members who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in their usual soft-spoken, highly dignified way. I'm not sure, but I think the Bullock family finally had a place to be with Brian, treasure his memory, hear his laughter, hear his voice. May God bless the entire Bullock family. And I'd like to introduce Frank Roberta's daughter, Beverly, and her husband, Carrie. Beverly and Carrie McLeod, could you please stand? And now for the presentation of colors, the United States Marine Corps.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly gleaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. That was Miss Bobbi Cranston singing the national anthem. Thank you, Bobbi. Doesn't the Marine Corps have the most beautiful uniforms? Great looking uniforms. And now I'd like to introduce one of my colleagues on the Veterans Committee, Dr. Jerry Jones, our chaplain.
Let us pray. Almighty God, creator of all, both living and dead, the giver of life and the one to whom the soul returns at the end of life's day. We come today to remember. Today, we are surrounded by the beauty of the roses, the eternal flame, and the markers that constantly remind us that these paid the ultimate price for freedom. These, like Corporal Aaron M. Gilbert, U.S. Marine Corps, said it best: when the time comes to lay down my life for my country, I do not cower from this responsibility. The 290 names that will be read here today in honor of their service and their sacrifice did not cower from their responsibility in defending the freedom that we enjoy and hold dear. Today, we honor their memory and their heroic service. May everything from the prayers to the Pledge of Allegiance, the music, and the important messages brought by our duly elected officials, and finally, God's amazing grace, make this a celebration of remembrance, as fitting as we can possibly make it. May your blessing be upon this event today, O Lord, from start to finish. We thank you today for the gift of life, and we continue to enjoy, some of us, for a very long time now. We remember and we salute more than 2 million who have died in the wars that have been fought, most dying at a very young age. Young people that never got to enjoy a long and full life. Young people that were snatched by the jaws of death from family and friends. We dare not forget. God bless their memory, and may their souls rest in peace. And may we always remain one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to this we say, Amen.
Brother Jerry, what a beautiful invitation. Bless your heart. Truly, this is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. As a member of Patton's 3rd Army Combat Engineers, attached to a group that liberated Buchenwald concentration camp, I'm very proud to bring you a message from Old Glory. Look at him standing there by the wreath, and look at it and think about this great architect of history. I am the flag of the United States of America, conceived in the dreams of liberty and the hopes of freedom. I was designed by the hands of Betsy Ross, and her sewing basket was my cradle. Though I was never an orphan, I was adopted by the Continental Congress in 1777 and proclaimed the national emblem of a nation, newly born on this continent, fighting valiantly for survival and destined to bring to all mankind a new concept in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I rode with Ethan Allen, the Green Mountain Boys, at the Battle of Fort Bennington. I was flown above the decks of Old Ironsides and the mast of Yankee Clippers. I blazed the trail with Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett. I led the settlers coming west and crossed Death Valley in a covered wagon. Once I fell to the ground at Custer's last stand with a Little Bighorn. There were no living hands left to pick me up. But I galloped up the slopes of San Juan Hill with Colonel Teddy Roosevelt and his Rough Riders in the United States Cavalry. I was carried through the halls of Montezuma onto the shores of Tripoli by the United States Marine Corps. I stayed with the boys till it was over there. On the battlefields of the Marne, Chateau Thierry, Saint Mihiel, and the Argonne Forest, I saw many of the youth and manhood of our nation fall and lie still in death, that given their last full measure of blood. The war was over for them forever, but I kept my lonely vigil over their graves and stayed to watch the poppies grow up into crosses, row on row, in Flanders Field. I was raised by 6 brave Marines and sailors during the hell of Iwo Jima in the final hours of World War II. I haven't changed much in 236 years. I still have my original 13 stripes. But as each state came in the Union, a new star was proudly added to the constellation of my blue field. Started with 13, now there are 50. I've draped the caskets of our nation's heroes and borne to their last resting place the bodies of presidents, generals, admirals, humble privates, and the unknown soldier. Wherever free men gather, wherever there's justice, equality, faith, hope, charity, truth, and brotherly love, there too am I. When you recite the Pledge of Allegiance to me, don't merely mouth the words, but think of what they mean to you and mean what you say. And when you come to the phrase, one nation under God, remember it matters not what your religious belief. It only matters that you hold your faith dear, that you practice it daily, and that you preserve it forever. History will never write my obituary, for I am the stars and stripes forever. I'm Old Glory. I'm your flag. I am you. Now will you stand with me? Together let's declare the greatest nation on the face of this earth. Veterans, hand salute. Rest of you put your hands over your heart as we proudly and loudly say together, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now just a bit of nostalgia. 51 years ago, I was the voice of a little duck in the Yogi Bear show, Last One Alive. Chopper was his best friend. He always asked him, where's your mama? The little duck always said, I don't have no mama. Would you be my mama? Only he said it this way, I don't have no mama. Would you be my mama? Pat, come on up here. Thank you. And now here is a great, great American who not only has a great voice, but her heart is greater than that as an American. Pat Walmisley, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. Oh boy, and how am I going to follow that without crying? Ahem. Yes. 3 cheers. I don't know if he's still flying, but he has been up until recently that I know of. Are you still flying? Oh, boy, and I can hardly walk. But anyway, I survived my hip surgery, and I'm so pleased to be and honored to be here with you today. And this is my 19th year. Thank you. And I just hope all of you will join me in singing a great tribute to our country, too, and a special prayer. It's called God Bless America. Sing loud. God bless America. To God bless you all.
I'm coming.
Can we get one more hand for Mr. Jimmy Weldon and Pat Walmisley? And now I'd like to introduce, to say a few remarks, USMC Garrett Johnson, Captain USMC Garrett Johnson.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Captain Garrett Johnson, and I am a United States Marine. A little bit about myself. I'm new to Burbank, the Los Angeles area. I moved out here in October on recruiting duty. I'm an infantry officer by trade, but learning to hook and jab out on the streets as new recruiter. But I want to say, my short time that I have been here, it's been an honor and a pleasure working with your community. So my hat's off to you, and thank you very much. You know, I thought, being 28 years old, United States Marine Corps officer, and an infantry officer at that, I was having a hell of a time in the Fleet Marine Forces. But I found it's become incredibly rewarding to become a United States Marine Corps recruiter. We take a look at the older generation that's provided this blanket of freedom, which people like myself and the younger generations have enjoyed so much. And on the other hand, we see the children and the youth of our nation and those who will carry on protecting our freedom. Memorial Day, one day out of our year, established in 1868, out of the need to understand, acknowledge, and honor those that have died so that many Americans can live free. It's only in a free and just society, ladies and gentlemen, that such brave men and women who volunteer to defend the rest of the population and pledge themselves to selfless sacrifice. It's been a true honor to meet these young men and women, our sons and daughters, who are the kind of individuals that say, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? I want to serve my country as those who have served it before me and laid down their lives so that I may have the chance to be an American and live this proud and loving lifestyle that I can enjoy as an American citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a day which we take to remind ourselves that our freedom is not secured solely by speeches and debates and strong-worded memos of displeasure directed toward those that wish to witness or directly participate in our country's collapse or destruction. It has been defended with flesh and bone, with steel and fire. So we take this one day out of our year to remember and honor and thank those who have sacrificed so much for this country and their families. I want to say that we will never forget those who fell in battle and those who have yet to return home. But ladies and gentlemen, I challenge each of us from this day forward. Remember this every day. As Staff Sergeant had said, this isn't a day of just moping around and mourning. I'm a United States Marine. I can't keep my head down. This is a day which we honor them by living full lives and carrying on their memories and sharing the stories to the next generation. I challenge you to do that every day. And even if we fall short, you know what? It doesn't matter, because we're still trying on and fighting hard in their memories. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Johnson. And now we're going to be doing a real highlight of our ceremony, the Ceremony of the Rose. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mike McDaniel, my colleague on the Veterans Committee. Mr. McDaniel.
Good morning, everyone. What a wonderful day to be here. As a member of this committee for over 21 years, we have never been rained out. We have never been blown off of our course here. We have always had sunshine, warmth, and the Spirit here with us. Esprit de corps from the city of Burbank and you, our fellow citizens. Today, we're going to, as we did about 2 years ago on Memorial Day during the 100th anniversary, we're going to read some names that have never been read before in our Ceremony of the Rose. This year, we have 4 names from World War I that we're going to read. As many of you may remember, we published a book back as a committee in 2011, and today we're also premiering the new copy of the book, which looks something like this with the Gold Star Mother's flag on the front, indicating that they had lost a child in service to our country. Today, we have on our tables over here the pictures from the book. Sorry. Just a second. Okay. Anyway, we have on our tables over here the pictures of the names that you will hear read. Please stop by the tables and look into the faces of these young people so that you can remember them as how they looked and how they went off to serve our country, never to return to our humble community here of Burbank. We have many opportunities to come by and visit this memorial. I would invite you to come here often to remember the names, look at the faces, and know these people and make them a part of your lives. Tell your children, your grandchildren, tell them your story. Tell them about the people who gave their lives that we may be here in this park today to celebrate. We'd also like at the beginning of the Ceremony of the Rose to invite any relatives who are here to come up and place a rose in the name of their memory when their family member is read today. That's a tradition we started a couple of years ago, and we would like to continue that today. Today, for the first time in 95 years, the names will be read for World War I. Are the scouts ready? First time ever, Manuel Chaffino, Harry Leslie Colton, Ray Frederick Enos, James McLeod. I'd now like to introduce Dr. Jerry Jones to begin the reading of the World War II names.
Edwin V. Anderson, Herbert E. Anderson, Jr., Winston H. Arnold, Lee Barger, Warren A. Barker, Clinton D. Barton, Neville A. Barton, Jr., Kenneth Bell, Harold Bettle, Jr., James A. Beyer, Warren R. Blakeman, Donald Blakely, Arthur R. Bode, Rex Bobbi, Herman L. Bauer, Louis Brammer, Donald N. Broman, Floyd L. Broman, Richard H. Bunbaugh, Albert B. Byland, H. Campbell, David Carrillo, Delbert Ben Carr, Robert W. Chambers, Glenn E. Chapman, John Morris Chase, Fernando Chavez, John Chauveny, Charles Christopher, Jack Clark, Alfred W. Cole, Walter Collier, Roy Cañero, Paul G. Cosandier, Norvin F. Craig, Claire C. Cross, Wallace Crowder, James G. Davis, Teo DeSantis, C.W. Dickens, Robert A. Dibb, Ronald Dinsmore, John A. Dorgan, Perry L. Dreyer, Walter C. Dunaway, Richard H. Dunbar, Richard E. Dunkelberger, Edwin L. Ebinger, A. O. Hillerman, Glenn O. Elliott, Harley A. Ellis, Keith Edwin Ellis, Webb D. Elmaker, N. J. Elrut, Eugene Lloyd Farthing, Robert A. Frank, Lou Fratello. And now let me introduce Paul Mckenna for further reading.
Raymond O. Fulford, James H. Gamblin, Ruben Garcia, George Jean, Edward Jeans, Charles A. Geddes, Douglas Lawrence Goff, Raymond Gonzalez, Edwin S. Green, John R. Gertie, Joseph H. Hackwell, Edward J. Hedebrew, C. F. Hagerstrom, Gaylord Grant Hanley, Jack Henry Harder, Patrick Harmon, Alvin Hart, Warren G. Haviland, Archie F. Haviland Jr., Richard Hayward, Lawrence Headley, Ollie E. Hendrickson, Harold P. Hepburn, George Herron, Robert A. Herzog, Herman H. Hetzel, Robert Hickenlooper, Donald Hinshaw, Norman A. Hollis, Felton E. Horton, Robert W. Howard, Thomas Hunter, Aubrey Heron, Kurt Francis Jennings, Glenn E. Jewett, Alvin E. Johnson, Robert Johnson, Forrest J. Johnston, Jr., Wayne A. Jones, Ernest L. Kern, Richard Kimball, William F. Kinsey, William N. Kirkland, Mark Kruger, Thomas Lake, Donald A. Landis. Now I'll introduce Vietnam veteran Brad Welker.
Mickey'd like me to tell the members who would like to walk up and put a rose on any friend or family member to come up and join the Scouts. Don't feel shy. The Scouts would like to have you. James Landsberger, Albert Lemon, Melvin Lieberman, Sam Lieberman, Gordon R. Lofgren, John S. Lombard, Charles S. Lonergan, Harry Long, Lawrence R. Long, Earl Loudon, Wilbur C. Matern, William F. McChesney, Vernon McElmurray, Jack McHenry, Robert McNeish, Eugene Madole, William A. Messina, George Milburn, William Montendon, Joe Morris, William J. Morrison, Troy R. Mullinex, Alvin Musson, Douglas L. Muchler, James William Myers, Norman L. Myers, Wesley N. Myers, Warren F. Nielsen, Carl V. Nelson, Jr., Harold Nelson, Frank C. O'Donnell, Fred W. Otell, Peter Ogburn, Billy B. Parker, Robert Spencer Patterson, William A. Pelkey, Floyd Penry, Jack R. Perez, John Pilkington, John Frederick Plouffe, J. A. Pritchard, Jr., James G. Purdy, Bartholomew Quinte, Glenn Rain, Douglas Richards, Joseph D. Risden, Gerald Roberts, another Vietnam veteran, John Wernstrum.
Virgil Robertson, B.C. Robinson, Fred C. Rowland, William A. Rutledge, John Samorian, Quentin Sandall, Daniel Sonder, Creighton Schaefer, George R. Schaffer, Roy Clifford Shear, Robert E. Schmidt, C.E. Shemedke, Robert L. Shrug, Paul Schwartz, Arthur B. Sherman, J.J. Signorelli, Nathan Silver, Jess Edward Simpson, Edward Slocum, Roger A. Smith, Elmer Snodgrass, William Alexander Snyder, Dudley M. Steele, Jr., Sam Stamolo, Jr., Clark D. Stone, Myron K. Strickland, William Stripe, August W. Soflo, Joseph M. Sundin, Richard Sussman, Ray Swenson, Philip B. Taylor, Jr., Walter Merrill Taylor, William E. Taylor, Charles R. Teal, Robert Teggart, Milton A. Tolman, Charles Franklin Townsend, Nelson Troop, Richard Tall, Don Van Atta, Walter Vernon, Lloyd Wade, Bernard P. Walmsley, William Taylor Wattenberger, Ray Weber, Albert O. Wendine, Robert P. Westbrook, Arthur White, Donald L. Wickersham, Jack Wiles, Johnson B. Wiles Jr., Richard D. Williams, Robert K. Wilson, Ronald H. Wingate, Albert A. Wyatt, William H. York, and John T. Zimmerman. Chris Thomas will now read the names from Korea.
William J. Barnes, Donald S. Bills Jr., Bobby S. Box, Edward L. Conyers, Max L. Dorosset, David M. Ellis, James Homer Elliott, Foster L. Delmar, Edwin Giron, Curtis A. Hatfield, William C. Caron, George R. Klein, Alfred J. Ledger Jr., Burton H. Levinson, Michael LaMagna, Arnold Nally, Larry Shiner, John D. Varney, Robert V. Wilson. To read the names of the Vietnam War, Councilman Gary Bric.
Jerry Joe Allen, Robin Annis, James M. Ball, Stephen P. Barnett, Arthur Skip E. Bedell, James A. Bean, William H. Bric III, 23 August 68, Brian E. Bullock, Felix A. Calderon, Robert J. Campbell, Donald E. Close, Michael L. Corrigan, Thomas B. Daly, John A. DeRue, Frank A. DeFiglia, Douglas Despensiero, Reese C. Elia Jr., Alan L. Elmore, Daniel P. Elas, Terry M. Enriquez, James H. Flickinger, Stephen T. Francis, John A. Jarrow, William E. Halstead, Stephen P. Hansen, Norbert P. Holosapel.
Robert K. Hooley, Scott W. Ingledon, Douglas R. Johnson, George Kipper, Stephen M. Knoffel, James W. Kerr, Ronald R. King, Howard L. Klinsky, Edward L. Krausman, Edward R. Letourneau, Vaughn M. Lieberneck, Larry Leonard Maxim, Medal of Honor, Gary T. McLean, Michael McKeever, David Moreland, Donald L. Morrison, Andrew J. Pine, Jr., Stephen D. Pleasant, William C. Proctor, Jr., Robert W. Robinson, David Salisbury, Charles P. Searles, Sal Silva, Larry Stefan, Gunter R. Tenus, Kenneth J. Webb, Ray Leonard William, Jack P. Wilson, Jr. And Paul McKenna will read the Global War on Terrorism.
David J. Hart, Cody Phelps. Let's pray that this is where the list ends.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous, stand upright and be strong. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. May your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung. May you stay, oh stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young.
My name is Greg Alaimo. I'm with the Veterans Committee. I'd like to thank Staff Sergeant Oleg Schechter and his Marines from the recruiting station. They're the Marines that always do our color guard. They do it for all the veteran ceremonies and anything that the city. Sergeant Schechter, Staff Sergeant Schechter.
Thank you, Greg. And let's have a nice hand for Bobbi Cranston, accompanied by her husband, Bryce. And now it's my honor to introduce the Honorable Emily Gable Luddy, Mayor of the City of Burbank.
Good morning. It's absolutely stunning to look out today and see all of you here this morning. I hope that at the end of the ceremonies today and the honor, that you'll introduce yourself to all of those around you and thank them also for coming today. It's a beautiful sight to see the community here. On behalf of the council, I'm honored to participate in the ceremony to remember those who gave their lives. Today is a day for reflection, for word, music, and beautiful song, as we just had. Staff Sergeant Rial mentioned in the beginning that the honor of Memorial Day began after the Civil War, and it was originally called Decoration Day. It took almost 35 years for the Congress to recognize that we needed a national cemetery to honor all of those who had fallen in wars, including the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, World War I, II, the Korea War, the Vietnam War, the global war on terror, where every time a young man or woman gave their life and sacrifice to our country. So it was in the 20th century that we recognized those fallen individuals and heroes with the National Cemetery. I want to especially acknowledge all the families here, moms, dads, grandma, grandpa, the kids, the brothers and the sisters, who also came to honor their family members who died in battle. And especially those who are participating this morning in the ceremony of the rose. The price of service is not returning home, yet we remember them. And this morning, on the cover of the newspaper, was a Sergeant Eric Hill, who had gone to the Riverside National Cemetery to honor his friend and fallen comrade, Eric Holke. And the thing that moved me about that story was that Sergeant Hill strapped a backpack on his back and walked 13 miles to the Riverside National Cemetery to visit his friend. It's that kind of memory that is part of today's remembrance and honor. I'd like to now give special thanks to those who supported in today's ceremony. I'd like to present a certificate, first of all, to Captain Garrett Johnson, U.S. Marine Corps. Captain Johnson, would you please come up? And so I would like to present this to you for your participation and addressing all of us this morning.
Thanks so much, madam.
Would you like to say a few words? Are you sure? They want to take a picture. You have to move to the right a little bit. I know you're very good. There you go. I'd also like to recognize and give special thanks to the Cusimano Real Estate Group who made today's beautiful flyover possible. And accepting the certificate today is Barbara Bartman. Ms. Bartman? I've been told, and Ms. Bartman was going to help me on this, that Charlie's son and the grandson, Charlie Cusimano, has just returned safely from Afghanistan. So I wanted to make that announcement on their behalf. That's good news. In conclusion, for this part of the recognition this morning, I'd like to once again thank you all for coming. And may God bless you all. And may God bless America. Now, it is my pleasure and humble honor to introduce the individuals who make this day so beautiful and so possible. And I would like to ask all of the members of the Burbank Veterans Committee, whose hard work and dedication make this morning possible, to please stand. Thank you for never forgetting our fallen heroes. I'd like to introduce the council and others who are with us this morning attending this service. First, I would like to introduce Vice Mayor Dr. David Gordon. Councilmember Gary Bric. Councilmember Jess Telemontes. And Councilmember Bob Frutos. We have representatives from the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Board, commission members with us this morning. I'd like to introduce Commissioner Garen Yagparian. A man who needs no introduction, Mickey DePalo. And Commissioner Barry Gussow. In addition, I would like to introduce our staff who are here this morning, the Director of our Parks and Recreation and Community Services, Judy Wilkie. Mrs. Wilkie, good morning. And the General Manager of our Burbank Water and Power Department, also a veteran, Ron Davis. And then finally, we are honored to have our elected officials with us this morning. And I would first of all like to introduce Congressman Adam Schiff from the California's 29th District. Congressman Schiff. And do you have a presentation this morning? Come on up, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a great privilege to join you, and I want to thank the City of Burbank and the Burbank Veterans Committee for the extraordinary job that they do each and every year with this wonderful Memorial Day celebration and Veterans Day as well. It really is a pleasure to join you. Every year I have the honor to nominate young people from our district who want to attend the military academies. They're some of the best and brightest young students and student athletes. And several years ago I nominated the son of a Burbank family, Will McIlvaine, to the U.S. Naval Academy. He was an exceptional student and a good athlete. He had done a superb job in high school, and it was his life's dream to attend the Naval Academy, which he did beginning in 2006. He graduated 2010 with honors and lived his dream to become an aviator. But 3 months ago, Will McIlvaine died when his plane crashed in a training exercise. And after I attended his memorial service at the Naval Academy, I was telling my son about Will. My son is 10 years old and has dreams of being an aviator himself. And my son asked me, I think he had always been struck by the adventure of flying and of serving in the military. And it was the first time I think he came to fully realize what it meant and the risks that were taken. And he asked me, why would anyone join the military if it means they might get killed? It's the kind of a question you get asked by a 10-year-old, and it's a fair question for anyone to ask. And I explained to him that there are people who so love this country and are so courageous and dedicated that they're willing to risk everything to fight and defend this country. They're willing to risk their lives. They're willing to risk the families they might never have. They're willing to risk making their sisters and their parents grieve for them. Others who have a family are willing to risk making their children lose a parent, making their husband or wife lose a spouse. It's a beautiful thing that people are willing to pledge so much, and when it is redeemed so early, as it was in the case of Will McIlvaine, it is a terrible thing. And so we gather today to think about Will McIlvaine and to think about the many thousands of others who have answered the call of duty, who've risked everything they have and everything they might ever have in the service of this nation. We thank God that they lived. We thank God that there are others like them who answer the call to duty, and we thank them for our liberty and our freedom and for such a magnificent day like today. Thank you, and God bless.
I'd like to introduce and ask if he would also make comments. Representative from California's 43rd District, California Assemblyman Mike Gatto.
Memorial Day is a pure holiday to me. There's no consumerism. We don't exchange gifts. By and large, we don't go and watch fireworks tonight. And when we come home, our spouses don't expect us to have flowers. Instead, on Memorial Day, we come together like this with people like us who value the contributions of the men and women who gave their lives in service of our nation. Many of us further reflect in solitude, in places of worship, or at grave sites on the lives of those in our families who served and who are no longer with us. Love good night must thou go, when the day and the night need thee so. Such are the lyrics of Taps, and they express an emotion that many of us feel today. The purity of Memorial Day, these gatherings and our reflections and prayers are vitally important because they remind we, the living, that our nation and our ideals were and remain worth fighting for and in some cases dying for. Our patriots, the fallen, gave us the greatest gift because they too believe in these American ideals that we believe in. Days like this, we feel lucky indeed. We feel lucky to be alive. We feel lucky to live in a community like Burbank that knows how to honor the fallen. And I thank the people who worked so hard year in, year out to make this one of the greatest gatherings that occurs every year on this day. Your hard work really, really is appreciated. I always, on Memorial Day, I always think of the words of the immortal George Patton, who my Uncle John always considered himself privileged to serve under in North Africa. And I'm paraphrasing him, but Patton said, on Memorial Day, we don't just give thanks that certain men died. We give thanks that such men who were willing to give their lives lived among us.
Representing U.S. Congressman Brad Sherman this morning is Carolina Krawietz. Yes. She will make a brief presentation.
Hi. I just wanted to take a moment on behalf of Congressman Sherman to recognize all the amazing individuals who have made this event possible. Particularly those individuals who are members of the Burbank Veterans Committee. I would like to thank you not only for serving our country, but also for serving your fellow veterans and serving your community by allowing us this opportunity to remember those who have served and to recognize their contribution and to give this amazing event to the community and to let us remember those men today. Thank you very much. If a representative from the Veterans Committee could come up, I would love to present you with this certificate on behalf of the congressman.
Mickey. No. Oh, good.
Okay. Doris.
Miss Vic. Thank you. And finally, from California State Senator Carol Liu's office, representing her office, Adam Carter. I'd like to thank you all for attending this morning. Especially for making time in your very, very busy schedules and sharing those words with us. And now I would like to reintroduce Mickey DePalo.
Thank you, Mayor Gabaletti. Before I go on further, I'm going to introduce all the Veterans Committee members by name. These people do a wonderful job, and I want to recognize them for that. It's great working with them. As they'll attest to it, I'm a hard person to work with, and they all deal with me admirably, and I appreciate it. I respect them immensely for all they do. Greg Alaimo, Gary Bric, Marianne Christ, David Christ, Paul Courier, Florence Mast, who couldn't be with us today, Michael McDaniel, Paul McKenna Jr., Dr. Jerry Jones, our chaplain, John Wernstrum, Christopher Thomas, Doris Vick, World War II, who came up here and gave us and took the presentation from Congressman Sherman's office, Brad Welker, And Chris Welker, who is not here today. She's in Tennessee, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, out in Clarksville, Tennessee, I think. And I'm sorry, I forgot Pat Walmisley. I apologize. And, you know, maybe this was meant to be, because I meant to mention that Pat, when we did these memorials, like I mentioned before, well, she was working for Congressman Carlos Moorhead. And without her, we wouldn't have gotten the name for the Korean War Memorial and the Vietnam War Memorial. So Pat, we'll never forget that. And you've been here for 19 years, but you've actually been involved with us for over 25. So thank you so much. I enjoy working with each and every one of you. And now for the benediction, our chaplain, Jerry A. Jones, followed by Amazing Grace from Anjanette McFarland, and Taps from the Burbank Community Band.
Today I have a grandson who is about to finish up his 8 weeks of basic training in Virginia, having started with boot camp back over in South Carolina. And at age 27, married, 2 young children, was without work, very concerned about providing for his family. He joined the Army. And so today, I have flesh and blood wearing the uniform of this country that I love so much. And I'm happy to be here today. Please join me in the benediction by reverencing Almighty God, our Creator. Dear God, sometimes it's hard to even speak that name because it is so hallowed and so holy. As we leave these hallowed grounds today, knowing that we have done the right and noble thing by having shared this day together as proud and thankful Americans, we do it with deep gratitude. We have come as Americans, and proudly so. We have come because we love freedom, and because we are unbelievably grateful to those who gave their life in defending it. Today we have set aside nationality and religious differences. Yes, even our political differences, in order to memorialize our dead and every American who has never failed to cower from their responsibility and who died defending it. Thank you for a city that cares and is willing to spare nothing in honoring our servicemen and women. Thank you for our city council and city staff for their support, their hard work, and their presence here today. Thank you for our state and federal elected officials that come so faithfully to join us in supporting our love for freedom and our gratitude to those who so proudly wear the uniform and have worn it. Thank you for the veterans that are here today. Thank you for our Veterans Committee that works hard all year long to keep patriotism alive, and our Memorial Day and Veterans Day ceremonies the very best that we can make them. And thank you for the citizens of this area that have come today to remember and pay homage to our military. We leave with the promise that we will never forget. We leave with a new sense of just how precious freedom is. The words of a poem I would like to share as I close. Go look in on your children, still asleep within their bed. Remind yourself they're safe and warm because of some long dead. Go for a walk through cemeteries lined with little flags. Take time to ponder homebound heroes flown in body bags. Go stand between those granite stones engraved with names and dates. Imagine all who died defending our United States. Go and kneel beside a marker, offering a prayer for those who gave their lives defending terror. Go home and count your blessings from the hands of those now gone. Then vow to the Almighty that their memory will live on. And to this we say, God bless America. Amen.
Please be seated. And I want to take time to thank the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts who came today to do the ceremony of the rose. Ms. Carolyn Hitt and the other Scoutmasters got a lot of the kids to come together. They're all from different troops. And this is actually their first day out of school, Memorial Day, and now they're free for the summer. And I hope you enjoy your summer, and thank you for being with us today. It's always great to have the young people here, and appreciate it very much. Thank you. And also thank you to our City Council for all your support. These ceremonies would not be possible without your support, and we thank you very, very sincerely and deeply for it. Thank you so much. And if any of you would like to lay a rose at any of the memorials, we still have roses left. At the end of the ceremony, you can come up here and get one from the Scouts. Thank you all for attending today's ceremony. As Mike McDaniel said, please try to stop by these memorials as often as you can and reflect on the true cost of freedom. This is hallowed ground to me, just like Dr. Jones said. We had the Vietnam Memorial Moving Wall here. The monument is right up there. And a lot of these men and women that died for our country at one time in their youth probably played on this park or went swimming or played in the gym. So take that with you today when you go home and know what the day is all about. But as the captain said, enjoy your life. Live it to the fullest. I know we all will never forget the price of freedom. God bless our fallen heroes. God bless our country. God bless our military. And God bless you all. Please pray for peace. See you on Veterans Day, November 11th. 2013. And have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the day. And also, the Veterans Committee is holding a fundraiser for a Hands Across the Battlefield program where we ship items to the troops overseas at Toluca Lake Bob's this coming Friday, the 31st. When you go there, just let them know that you are there for the Veterans Committee fundraiser, and part of the proceeds go to the Hands Across the Battlefield program. Thank you so much. God bless you.
The band will end with a medley of the hymns for each one of the services. So if you'd like to stay and stand for your own service or relatives, please do.
Army. Coast Guard.
Marines.
United States Air Force.
Everybody.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
The West Nile virus is transmitted by infected mosquitoes during blood feeding. You can control mosquitoes by removing stagnant water from backyard sources. West Nile virus prevention is simple. Avoid outside activities at dawn and dusk during a virus outbreak. Wear long-sleeve shirts and pants. Apply mosquito repellent when outside. And make sure that doors and windows have tight-fitting screens. If you have any questions about West Nile virus, please contact the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control District.